This week we'll be using the USGS earthquake map to complete a portion of our lab activities, and I want to give you a walkthrough. Now before we click onto the website, let's make sure we know our color code. Yellow means an earthquake has happened within the last week. Orange is an earthquake that has happened within the last 24 hours. And red means an earthquake has happened within the last hour. Now another thing to remember is that for your lab activity and in your lab worksheet, you're going to need to choose one earthquake that has happened within the last 7 days and has had a magnitude of 4.5 or higher. Now it's going to be really easy to make those exact criteria show up on our map, and I want to show you how to do that. So let's click on our map. And the first thing you see will be the United States. That's just the default view for this map. And on the left-hand side, you see the list of the earthquakes that are happening. So it just so happens that today, while I am here recording this, we have earthquakes going on in Mexico. And so that's why you see those red circles there. These earthquakes have happened within the last 60 minutes. Now these orange earthquakes are all earthquakes that have happened within the last 24 hours. And so you see we've even had one in Missouri. Now, the first thing you want to do is adjust your settings. Now, as you can see, the default settings are only showing you the last 24 hours and magnitudes 2.5 or higher. Now, for our purposes, we want to see all earthquakes that have happened within the last 7 days that are 4.5 in magnitude or higher. So that's one of our settings, and that means it's really easy to show all of the earthquakes that you can choose to complete your lab activities. Now another thing I like to do just to make things a little bit easier is I like to change how my map looks. And so there are a lot of different ways that you can do that, and you can set it to your liking. And then over here we can zoom in and out. So if we zoom out and get a better picture, we can remove those settings over there. Now you'll see that we've got a lot of earthquake activity going on over the last 7 days. And these are all going to be, because we adjusted our settings, these are all going to be earthquakes that are 4.5 in magnitude or higher. So any of these earthquakes will be fair game for you to choose when you complete your lab activity. So let's choose one of the earthquakes just to give you a walkthrough of once you choose your earthquake, what you'll be getting into. Now I'm going to choose this one over here in Alaska. This was a magnitude 5.7, as we can see down here in the bottom left corner. And we see a few little items here. We see DYFI, that is a Did You Feel It rating. We have a pager rating, and then we have the tsunami wave that tells us that perhaps there is some information regarding the tsunami. Now it also gives us the time and date at which this earthquake occurred. It gives us the location, and it gives us the depth to the focus or the hypocenter, which means that's exactly where within the earth the earthquake happened. So let's click on this one. Now you see a lot of information has popped up. Some of these are going to be really important for us. Now the first here is going to be this regional information. You can click on any of these tiles to get more information. So if we scroll down here, we see an entire tectonic summary of this region of Alaska, and this will be information that you can review in order to write your responses for your lab activities. Okay, be sure to click the back button here to go back to where you were, not this button right here. That will take you back to the map. So we want to click the back button there to make sure we come back to this page for our selected earthquake. Now there's one thing important to note here. There's a difference between the Did You Feel It and the shake map. The shake map is the map that is produced by seismologists, okay? So we can see our shading here, and we see our Mercalli scale there on the bottom. And so it's color-coded so you can get an idea of what the Mercalli ranking would be for this earthquake. Now again, going back, hitting my back button, that's very different from the Did You Feel It? The Did You Feel It is something that is produced by people reporting in and describing how the earthquake felt to them. So since this was an earthquake that happened out in the middle of nowhere, we don't have any information as far as the did you feel it because nobody has reported anything. Oh, maybe one person reported something. So there's one person that has reported something, and they gave it a ranking of 2 on the Mercalli scale. Now, of course, using anything, this did you feel it is again something that people report. That means it is subjective. What may feel scary and crazy to me may not be to you. So the Mercalli ranking that you see here for the did you feel it, that's usually not an accurate representation of the actual shaking that took place. So even though having that citizen science, these people inputting the information into this, into the USGS database for each earthquake, that's really great, but it may not always be an accurate assessment. So you always want to look at the shake map. The shake map is the one that has been reviewed by a seismologist. All right, so over here we see a pager. Now, you may have this for your selected earthquake, and you may not. And a pager estimate is kind of shows you the risk of fatalities and the risk of economic losses. And because this was out in the middle of nowhere, there's hardly any risk for fatality. There's hardly any risk for infrastructure damage simply because there are no structures out here. And so here's just your legend for what you would see. And again, you see the modified Mercalli intensity scale. So everything that we've learned about in the textbook, this is exactly what seismologists use. And if we go back again, and here we see the tsunami tile. This will just take you to the NOAA website. NOAA is the agency that is in charge of distributing tsunami warnings or alerts. Now in the list here, you can actually go through and find the earthquake. And so that is something here's our earthquake right here. So we can click on it and it will show you information for that particular earthquake and the message that was sent out. And so here you see the tsunami message that was issued when our chosen earthquake occurred. So this is just all information that you can review as you choose your earthquake, and you'll see that there are lots of earthquakes to choose from as long as you have your settings set up to show you the last 7 days and magnitude 4.5 or higher. Now, one thing that I do want to show you is that not all earthquakes will have the same amount of information as what we just saw. So here's an example from Mexico, and we don't see as much information. We don't see a pager information. We don't see tsunami information. We don't see our shake map for this particular earthquake. So every earthquake will be different, and most of the earthquakes that happen within the United States or within the United States territories, they will have the most information simply because we're working with an American agency through the United States government. But we have to depend on other countries sharing their information with us in order to develop all of those other pieces of information that we saw for the Alaskan earthquake. So for foreign earthquakes, you may not see as much information, but there is still a lot of great information under the regional information tile like we can see here. And so it really just depends on the type of earthquake that you choose, its location, and the information that has been shared with the USGS. So if you have any questions about our earthquake map, how to use it, how to navigate it, just let me know. It's very simple and straightforward once you select your earthquake, and that will be the information that you use to complete your lab activity.